All right, welcome to Rethink. We're back. We have a guest. This is our first guest. This is big time.
Yeah,
you're our first guest.
You're an
Nathan.
important man.
I know that's kind of exciting.
We've been talking to like.
So we're gonna let you like break the ice with what's the word of the day?
Well, the word of the day would be wiener.
Wiener.
Yeah.
Wiener.
4,
we missed
5.
it. We missed it last week.
So we need to get a like a wiener alarm. That anytime we say the word wiener, it goes poing.
Yeah, like one of those like a talk show and they have the guy that does sound effects.
Yeah, we don't
wiener.
need a bell or
No.
a chime. I mean,
Boing is good.
You need like
Boing.
a counter. A
Yeah,
little counter
right
in
behind us, yeah.
Boing. Let's
He's
do
so
it.
good. Oh,
When we get into our
yeah.
new studio, because
Yeah.
we are like getting like we're like mogul status now.
Podcast Mogs.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Nathan on now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Once you insert a guest, it's over.
That's,
Inserting.
let's say that differently.
Not the right. We're not the right thing.
Is it wiener and the
Wiener
let's not
inserts,
make those two
not
things.
good. Not.
Wait till you see the initiation.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be gold.
So shout out to IT.
Shout out to I'm trying to get Isaiah Thomas on here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow him on Twitter and all that?
Nope.
He's a great dad, and I'm like, let's get him on. Talk
Well,
about
I saw
fatherhood.
you do the shout out, and so then I went over to his place, and he's got some great stuff on there.
Yeah, he's sick.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. It's trying to get him going to the game tonight, so I'm gonna try to schmooze him over on Twitter today and see what happens. But yeah,
right.
it'll be good.
You're going to the game tonight?
Mm-hmm. Are you?
Nope.
Oh, yep.
Nope.
We're going. Me, Taylor, Dan, and Allie.
Can you write Rethink across your chest and go and just get on the screen?
I'll see what I can do.
IT Rethink podcast.
Come. He's sitting on the bench right now. He can do it. Yeah, it'd be gold. Or I could just paint it on my chest.
That's what I meant.
Oh, I thought you said wear a shirt.
No shirt.
No, shirts are dumb.
Shirts are.
Do you want to get on this big screen or not?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I need to take more. I mean, you were on the big screen this weekend. Your arms looked huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at the Crucible, so
There you go. They got even bigger.
It's awkward seeing
They got
yourself, so I'll take your word for it.
So I got some feedback because Nathan was on the video
Yep.
this weekend at church, and if you didn't get to watch it, but I got like 14 marriage proposals because he cried.
Lucky man.
There's nothing wrong with crying.
No, it's good for
No,
you.
yeah.
No.
That's the goal of today's podcast. We're going to get him crying again.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, might as well put it out for everyone to see.
Might as
So,
well.
Why
Yeah.
not?
It'll be so good. Hey,
But we're trying to be sensitive. We're
Yeah.
embracing all of masculinity.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wieners cry.
Wieners cry.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Before we jump into this, if you are listening on iTunes, on YouTube, whatever you're listening on, subscribe, like us, share it, do whatever you have to do, get this out there. But also, if you are on YouTube, you can comment and you can ask questions, and we will answer them on Old Fashioned Fridays.
Yep.
So,
Hey, real quick, ask me about my shirt.
what's your shirt?
Liberty Firearms Institute up in Loveland.
Yeah.
So we shot all the shooting footage up there for the video this past week. This place is amazing.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's
Oh
really
gosh,
good.
it's the biggest indoor shooting range in the country. I think the NRA
In the country?
In the country.
Wow.
And like the NRA is trying to come in and like steal ideas and build a bigger one or something like
Yeah.
that. But Grant, who's one of the owners up there, took us around and treated us like royalty.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
Gave
yeah.
us free stuff.
And you shot a Gatling gun?
We shot a Gatling gun, fully automated.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of ranges. That's the nicest one I've ever been
Oh,
to.
yeah. Yeah.
Hands
That's
down.
awesome. That's sick. I need
Yeah.
to check it out.
It affects. It's,
Does it?
Yeah.
Wow.
You cannot shoot a fully automated submachine gun or Gatling gun and not be affected in
Yeah.
the GERT
In the-
GERT area.
The GERT.
The
Yes,
wiener.
yes, the wiener.
I'm just saying something happens. I don't know. It's just like I'm a better man. Not that that's a measure.
It's
of
not a measure.
We always have to put a disclaimer.
Because
in
then
there.
I'm not very manly. But before we jump in and talk to Nathan, I want to talk to you. As you were working through this talk, as you were tearing through things, there's bits and pieces that you were looking at. What'd you learn new this week? What as you were tearing through what you taught on this week, you literally started off, I think it was like line 3, you're like, this is all application. But in that application, you were learning something within that. So as you tore through the talk this week, what's something that you learned that you didn't know before that you had to rethink?
Yeah,
and
so
change?
thanks. That was like version 4 of that talk, because when I sat down to write it, I got really fired up, but not in a good way. I got really angry about what's happening in our world and in our culture, and I just wanted to yell at somebody. And so I sent out the manuscript, and like all the campus pastors sent it back and went, hey, because they're all y'all are kind of nervous, like, hey, we're gonna speak to the main teacher, and and they all like, but they all the same thing. It was like, hey, I think you're yelling, I think you're venting. Is there? And I realized I had to look at that and go, yeah, the purpose of this is not to point fingers and yell at people. It's to encourage parents. This is like when I talked about what's happening in Colorado. That fires me up because it breaks my heart. again, I think that the people that are pushing this are, like, I got some feedback on Instagram or saying that was a horrible sermon. That whole bill is just about not shaming people, and that's how it's being sold. And I think we as Christians should never shame people.
Yeah.
Or we should never like make fun of people. All right, even people we disagree with.
Yeah.
All right, but there's a whole bunch of collateral damage that I'm really concerned about, and that is there's some mixed messages that our children are having to deal with. And so I kind of rewrote that talk to say, like, we can't go out there and fight against, because everybody says, so what are you going to do with your kids? And the response from that I got overwhelming is, I'm going to have to sit down and talk with them a lot more. And I'm like, well, crap, that makes sense. I thought, let's go protest, or let's go, picket, or let's go, something, boycott something. And it's like, that's not the answer. The answer is, now's the time even more to engage with your children. But it's so overwhelming. And so the tone, hopefully, of my talk turned from, you're not paying attention and you should do more with your kids, to, hey, the stakes are really high. And Nathan, I think that in your video, when you take Luke and walk into that big auditorium to look for trash and stuff like that, it's like you're starting a tradition that hopefully will continue all the way through when he gets into elementary. And during those times, you can have those conversations about life, about being a man, about because questions about where's mom, all that's going to come up. And I think that we have to continue to cultivate that. So I think that my big learning in all this is, it seems like our country is so polarized, and this is going to do more. And Christians could really play into more of the polarization because we're going to start like yelling back. And Jesus never did that.
Yeah.
He never let go of truth, but he always held on to grace. And we're not against, there's a big LBGT. I don't know what all of it is.
I think then it goes IA and then plus. After
that. Is all that. They're not the enemy.
Right.
All right? They're not the enemy. Satan is the enemy. And then all of us are trying to figure out how to love people well without, attacking, they're image bearers of God just as much as we are.
Yeah.
All right? And we're broken in there, and everybody's broken. So the idea is not to fight and say those are the bad people, we need to defeat them, as much as here's what God says is right and true, and let's hold on to that. And so that's why hopefully when I got into those 4 steps, the answer is not once was it, you need to go and, I do think you got to get involved politically, and I think you'd be involved in your life, the life of your kid at school or in sports. I think advocating that is advocating parent. Government's not going to change our world. Schools aren't right. None of that. That's not the solution. The solution is we got to love people like Christ loved them, even the people that we disagree with. And it starts with when you have a 3-year-old and you go, we're going to pick up trash because this is what men do. And then it continues all the way through. So what did you learn at school? What did you learn in Sunday school or in kids class today? Coming home from school and learning that.
Yeah, I think even looking at that bill or anything in general, if you look at both sides politically at their like basic level, their goal is to take care of people. They both go about it in different ways.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like if we can address the hard issue, we're not going out there to fight against all these bad people, all these things that we disagree with. It's like if we go out and love people really, really well, we can take care of them a lot better than picking a side and going in and throwing bows left and right.
Right.
But we have to find the hard issue of it.
Yep.
Right. And then find the person within it, and not the issue, but the person. I think that's the goal, which I think you did well this weekend. I think you went in and said, here's an issue, but really here's the goal behind it.
Right.
Here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we're trying to reach. Here's who we're trying to take.
And I really do want to empower dads to speak into the life. And, they are the leader of their home. Whether you lead towards Jesus or lead off a cliff, you're still leading somewhere, right? And failure to lead is still leadership. It's just not good leadership. But a lot of us feel so unequipped and overwhelmed. We either just ask, our wife to do it, or we ask the school to do it, or we ask the church to do it for us. And Jesus never told the school or the church. There's no mention in the Bible of a kids ministry or youth ministry, right? It's always instruction to the parents. You now go home and teach your children. Back in Moses' day, right? The whole, bind these on their foreheads and write them on the walls, bind them on your wrist. Talk about it as you go along the way, as you lay down and as you get up. And he's talking to parents, do this for your children. He wasn't saying pastors. And I'm not against kids ministry or youth ministry. I spent most of my life doing that. But I think what we've done inadvertently is we've kind of outsourced the spiritual education of our children and the sexual education of our children and all the big important parts of life there are people out there that we just say, well, they'll just do it for me, and it doesn't work. Our biggest wounds are in those areas of life.
Yep.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. But effort-wise, it's easier to just go, somebody else take care of it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's because we're weak men. We just don't know what to do. But if we really could be fully armored up, and that's why I give those 4 things we're going to talk about here, is there is no other way. And nobody's going to do this for you, you know? You got to get into God's word. You got to be in church. You've got to draw a line in the sand. Because this is my responsibility. I've got to figure it out. Yeah. And then the other thing is there's some men around you that are willing to help you do that.
Which is where I want to start. I don't want to start at the front. I want to start at number 4.
Cool.
And so with that, so we glance over a lot of times like, oh, I got into a men's group, I got into a soul group, whatever that is, and my life changed. That you said this weekend, that saved me. Mm-hmm. That has saved me multiple times.
Yeah.
So looking at where you're coming from, you touched a little bit on it this weekend. I mean, you walked through divorce, you walked through all this different stuff, and then you found the Crucible, and then you found a men's group. Right?
Hey, take a time out. So for anybody who didn't watch Flatters this past week, so Nathan Rausch, he's a SWAT police officer back in Louisville, Kentucky. I used to live there. We didn't know each other then.
Nope.
And it's really cool how it all came about. Maybe you want to rehash that again. But we've gotten to know each other over the last 18 months. And he was out here to actually staff a weekend up in the mountains of a Crucible retreat. And I asked him to come out a few days later, and we just hung at the cabin and shot a lot of stuff.
Nice.
Sure did.
Yeah, we sure did. And just spent some good time talking. So he just got back from that weekend. He's going to catch a plane here in a few minutes, but I asked him to come in. So now that we all know who you are, right?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. And we're going to put his number up here, and his, like email.
You'll get an Instagram at some point, you know.
Yeah.
We'll hook you up.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to Micah about that one.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use that stuff.
I don't either.
It's so confusing.
I talk to Mike, who does our social media, and I go, what? Now, what's the plus sign?
Yeah, explain this.
The tic-tac-toe thing.
Yeah.
When they were up at the cabin with all those acronyms, I mean, I had no idea what they were talking about.
I think they're making most of that shit up.
Yeah.
I really do. John C.
John C.
John C. was up at the cabin.
He was.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you guys talk about him getting engaged?
I don't know. Did you get engaged yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, but you're working on it.
Yeah.
Working on it. Yeah, it's coming.
Got a ring.
One day.
I just want to say this. I went to K Jeweler.
Did you? We talked about that last week. You did that.
I did it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Have you given that off yet or no?
What?
Have you given a gift from there yet?
It's being resized.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
How'd it go over?
Very well.
Swimmingly.
There
we go.
You walked out of rock bottom
Yep.
at the orchard.
Yep.
And looked over to the right and went, go, Robin, the ring you showed me was from Kay, right? Yeah, well, we don't have time, right? I know, babe, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I got time.
I also knew I was going to buy a Glock later that day.
Yep.
So
Did she know that?
Huh?
Yep. Nathan.
Yeah.
She didn't ask.
She didn't know, which is great.
Right.
She got what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good day.
That.
So with all that Jim just said, you walked through a lot. You walked through divorce. You walked through a bunch of stuff probably before that divorce, the baggage that you brought into that marriage. How did jumping into a men's group start changing that?
It gave me a way to work through my stuff in a safe environment, because I know for me,
what made it safe?
What made it safe? So for me, before that point, I'm used to falling. I know how to fall, but I'm used to picking myself back up, and then it's just a repeat process. That was the first time in my life where I fell and was actually comfortable being caught and knowing, like, hey, these guys aren't going anywhere. So,
okay, that's very different than, because your whole story is about, hey, there's nobody there. You got to take care of yourself. You're on your own with God, with people. All right, and then so I remember the first time that we connected. You were sitting on a porch or in a restaurant with Bill Weedman, who's a chaplain out back there, retired police officer back in Louisville. One of my heroes, and you said, hey, Bill, I think I'm going to, and he didn't know you'd been listening to Flatirons.
No.
And our friend Daniel had hooked you up with Flatirons online, right?
Yeah.
And then, so you said, I think I'm going to check out this Crucible thing. And then off to the races we went. How do you know about Crucible? So why did Crucible, because that's a men's retreat, and you heard me talk about it online a bunch, and what was it that you were looking for in that you would even be interested in that? Because that seems very counter everything up to this point in your life.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I was looking for something different. At the time when I first heard about it, I didn't know really what I was going to get out of it. But on my weekend, I just wanted peace and joy, because I felt like at that point in my life, there was a constant war going on, but it was going on all around me, and it was just against me. Whereas so I never really had peace. I was just always uncomfortable, waiting for the next bad thing to happen.
What was stealing your peace?
Just the past wounds, past messages that I wasn't good enough, that I should be alone. So James Henderson,
Mexico City.
Yeah,
He's my bud.
he was in Kentucky back in October, and he talked about the victim, villain, and hero message. So really the two that were heavy during my teenage years was the victim and villain. And those messages were, the victim was like, well, you're not good enough for people. Nobody likes you. Even when people brought me in, I was like, well, I'm just a burden. Like, you're just doing this to be nice. The villain.
How do you think those were there?
So when I was growing up, my parents split up when I was 5 or 6, which, and I really, in the whole spectrum of my family, my grandmother was the most stable part of my life. I mean, she would come pick me up. I'd go up to Pennsylvania, spend all summer there, and we just had this bond. And so she had got cancer. I'm not sure when she got it, but I remember just I wasn't even worried about it, because the way I was raised in church was, if you're a good person, if you're a good Christian, things are just going to work out. Now, if you're not a good Christian, or you've pissed off God down the way, like, he'll get you back, and he's going to wait until like things are really good. So familiar. That way that floor is that much further to fall down on. So 6th grade had just started. We were just into it. And I remember having to go back up to Pennsylvania. She got put back into the hospital, and they didn't let me go to the hospital at the time, but I wasn't really that worried about it. I was like, man, she'll come out again, because she had previously been in the hospital before, got back home. And I remember that day, me and my mom were supposed to go to Toys R Us. And she gets the call that she had died. So we go up there, and I remember driving up there and just thinking, like, there's no way. Like, I do not want to see her. And in hospice, so you go from like this just weird smelling hospital thing. Once you get in a hospice, I mean, there's fish tanks. It's nice and blue. And I remember walking in, and my uncle was there, and this isn't on him, but he said, do you want to see her? And for some reason, I didn't say anything. I just took that turn, and that was the first dead body I'd ever seen. And I mean, I just collapsed. I was done. Mm-hmm. And I remember just being so upset. And after that, like, I couldn't control it. So that was probably the first time in life I felt out of control, was at 11. And I told myself at that point, like, I will never feel like that again. So, but the problem is I still wanted that comfort. I still wanted that stability. So I'm right at that age where girls seem pretty cool. And
they are.
So I was really like trying to fill that void with relationships. Yeah. And that was with guys too. 'Cause you just lost
a good relationship.
Oh yeah. I lost the most important relationship in my life.
Yeah.
So at that time I'm thinking, like, I don't even know who this God is. Either he's not present, doesn't care about me, or everything he talks about being good, well, that's BS. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally what I thought. So I was going into these relationships and really asking them to do what only Jesus could do in terms of filling that void. But as I pushed myself onto people, a lot of times it was, whoa, that's way too heavy, get back. So I start developing this mindset of like, am I not good enough? Like, if you see the real me, you don't want me. Mm. And that came to a head when I was 17, and there was 2 deals on the table. Either I'm going to stop feeling like this, including I just want to die, or I need to learn how to live with this, because the one person not going anywhere is me. So that's when that hero message came in, that you don't need anybody else. You can do it by yourself. And guess what? The only person guaranteed not to go anywhere is you. Mm-hmm. So that's how I started living life at 17.
Yeah. How did that, as you kept working through that, I mean, at 17, did you realize that was going on?
No, because at that point now I'm like super confident and just doing whatever I want to do. I mean, when you don't have anything to lose, you're dangerous.
Yeah.
And, well, guess what? When you're confident, lots of people like to hang out with confident men or just people in general.
Yeah.
So it seemed like everything was going my way finally.
Yeah, and that's similar to what you've talked about of like something fueling you that's in the background that you don't even realize is there.
Oh,
but
I don't think
something's
it's
pushing you.
conscious at all.
Yeah.
It's just like something comes online
Yeah.
and it drives you or chases you, whatever that is, and it's exhausting and it's lonely because you can't ever. I mean, it feels even weak and vulnerable to say it out loud, like, "Yeah, I have something driving me," or I have a hero. You couldn't even say that.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
like, and then you go back and you go, "So what happened?" Well, I got hurt or someone died or something like that, and you're like, "Are you not over that?" Yeah, of course.
Right.
Then that's not it.
Right.
And then you just push on,
Right.
And then you just look behind you, and there's bodies and relationships everywhere.
Yeah. So then you get into you get married a little bit after that.
Yeah. So before that, the way I filled that, I was chasing success at that point. It was like a goal that I could never reach because I would go to boot camp, platoon honor grad, airborne school, police academy. I'm the president of my class.
I did all that.
Yeah.
You look like you did.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't tell a lot of people that.
You're humble.
Well, when you're in the SEALs, they tell you not to say that.
Yeah.
Humble stuff.
When you kill Bin Laden, you're not supposed to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Nathan,
Sorry.
come on.
Sorry.
Yeah. Different Bin Laden.
Just edit that
yeah,
out or something.
for sure.
But the thing about chasing success is once you reach that goal, you have to automatically find a new goal or you have no purpose.
Oh, there's no finish line.
No.
Right.
And it's just over and over. So at that point in life, I'm really just living checking the box. So I have a career, a degree. So I have a house. Next check in the box is marriage. And so then I got married. I met my ex-wife like not even a year out of the police academy. And we got married like a year and a half.
And she's a
later.
cop also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as you go into that, are you still living this like mentality of I've got nothing to lose, so I'm dangerous?
I think at that point I wanted to step into like, hey, I want to be more vulnerable. But the problem is I didn't even know what were behind a lot of those doors.
And why was that a thought? Like you went from being I'm going to be closed off and be confident because that's what people want to I want to be vulnerable. What was that switch?
Well, I think at that point in my life, thinking about marriage, it's like, well, if I'm going to be with somebody, like I really do want to share that connection. And I haven't really all my relationships up to that point. As soon as you got to that point to where it's like, man, I might really rely on this person, I would give a big push back and just isolate.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out how to counteract that. But I was giving her a responsibility that she shouldn't have taken. Like I was trying to put her in a role in my life where only Jesus could fill, and that's just way too much weight. I mean, and that's not her responsibility.
Right. And did you realize that at the time, or did you just keep feeling that?
No,
Yeah.
I just thought like, see, there you go again.
Yeah.
I mean, here you are, and you're just destroying everything around you. Really, the strongest message at that time was that villain message.
Which
like
is what?
you can't handle anything good because you're just going to screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
So just give up. Like go somewhere and hide.
So then you get divorced.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is before you got married, you didn't let anybody get close enough because you just screwed up anyway.
Yeah.
Then you made a decision to get married, and it wasn't going well, but you had to do whatever it is to not let it end because it would confirm C.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's why you're really aggressive up to, and then you get passive when it comes to that because you'll do anything to hold it together, and including inadvertently doing the opposite thing, thinking you were going to save your marriage.
I remember going to marriage counseling, and I was like, you can put me in the Army, put me in charge of 50 guys, no problem. You can give me a police academy class or a platoon. Like, I will step into those leadership roles, and I will lead from the front. You put me in a marriage with one single woman, and I can't even do it. Like, I didn't know how to handle that. So really holding on, and that's what it was that confirms failure. That confirms that, and especially going into marriage from a divorced childhood, it's like that's the last thing I wanted. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like I went in thinking marriage is so simple as in, well, just don't get a divorce and then you won't get one.
Right.
And it's not that simple.
Is that all?
I'm going to write a book on that and market it.
Not that simple.
Yeah, not that simple.
So I was joking that there's a bunch of marriage proposals coming your way from the Flatirons crowd. Which
Rats. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I'm going to vet them.
Yeah,
Because there's
please.
some crazy. There's some crazy. Right?
Stage 5 clingers.
Yeah. He explained to me what that is.
Finally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what is I don't think we're going to get to our four things. So we might.
I just wanted to cover the fourth one. We'll jump to the ones the next week.
Yeah. All right. So what is your learning? Yeah. You're 33 33.
32. I'll be 33 in May. Yeah.
All right. Now you're just gonna get a whole bunch of birthday wishes.
Yeah.
I don't have social media. You can't find me.
Oh,
Right, we're gonna make
we're gonna
one
post
for
it.
you.
Yeah,
We're
just
gonna
make a
post
fake
you
one.
everywhere.
There we go, yeah.
That's how you vet them.
We're gonna have a Nathan Rethink calendar.
Dang.
Oh,
That's
between
a
the two
good
of you young
idea.
guys.
Yeah.
So you're 32 years old. You have 2 kids, and you're divorced. Okay, that's a lot on a resume for a young guy.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was joking about the marriage proposals, but you do see yourself possibly getting married again someday.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not your agenda, like by December or something like that. What are the learnings going into the next marriage that God has taught you through what you've done right, what you've done wrong over the last 3 years? Is that fair?
Yeah.
And you might not have them all figured out.
Right.
You know,
You actually, I figured out a lot about marriage after the divorce. Just being a leader, like that means stepping out first. That means going
this is just a great sentence. I figured out a lot about marriage after the divorce. That should just be on a wall somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's like how many people in the world can go, yeah.
But just so everybody wants this marriage like 50-50, which is no such thing because who draws the line, right? So just give 100. And if you get it back, you get it back. But Jesus constantly gives me 100% every day. I may or may not give that back. But that's the example of the man that I want to be, that I want to get to.
What's that look like? What's Nathan giving 100% in a marriage look like?
Well,
And you can say, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
I don't know. I've been out.
the goal. What's an area of life that you didn't give 100% that you would next time?
Well, first of all, I'd have to I would have to give 100% of myself in terms of I can't hide myself. Like I have to be fully present, and I know my weakness is to retreat, which can be interpreted as, well, I don't want you anymore, which in fact it's me being defensive of I don't think you want me anymore. So I would just have to communicate better. I'd have to be more emotionally available. A lot of times it feels like, well, like I need to go into that every single day. Like I'm going to serve you with, even if I'm not going to get anything back from that, which means to me, it's not, I'm serving you because I love you, not because I think I'm going to get something out of the deal, I guess.
That's good.
Yeah. That's a hard switch, like to flick in your head of like, if I do this, I know I can get this.
Right.
Right.
That's a hard thing to change. So you made a comment a little bit ago where you were like, you were 5 or 6 when your parents got divorced, and so you threw a whole bunch of messages into your head. What are you doing right now for your 2 boys who are walking through what you walked through?
Yeah.
But they get a dad who's like, I'm not going to let that happen to them. What are you doing for them?
Well, first off, one thing I love doing is every day I get them in the car and we're driving to, say, daycare or something. I try to remind them like who they are and what they're worth and what to me. So one thing I'll do is every morning we'll be driving. I'll say, hey guys, Luke, Grayson, like I love you and you're my son and I'm so proud of you because, and they probably don't really get it right now. Like, and maybe even eventually they might just be thinking in their head like, oh, here goes dad again. But at that point in life, when somebody tries to tell them different, my hope is that that's what they hang on to. Like, hey, you're weird or you're stupid. Well, that doesn't add up with what my father has told me, that I'm his son and he loves me and he's proud of me. Now, I can't control what happens at a certain point, but I'm not going anywhere and I'm going to love him no matter what. But at this point, I'm just trying to really pour into them of like what you mean to me, because I think a lot of times that can be assumed. Like my grandfather is a great man, and every time we hang up the phone, I'm like, all right, love you. And it's just, all right. That's just his generation.
Yeah.
But I don't want that for my kids. Like I want them to know, like there's not even a question of who I am with my father and who I am, how much he loves me, because he just tells me every day, even when it's annoying. And then the other thing is just like there's a lot of obviously bitterness after divorce. And there's still things that, I mean, we didn't agree during marriage, so we don't tend to agree all the time now, but I will not bring that up in front of them. Like I support their mother. They're not going to hear a negative thing out of my mouth about their mother in front of them. That's for me to process. That's adult things, because at the end of the day, that's still their mom.
Yeah.
And I don't want them growing up either thinking that my mom doesn't love me. I want them to know my dad loves me and my mom loves me. We're not together. Stuff happened. We were young. we jumped into something. I'm not going to speak for her. I jumped into something. I made choices, and I wasn't prepared. Basically, when I got married, somebody handed me the keys to a jumbo jet with no training, and I just burnt it to the ground. But now I'm just trying to prepare myself that if that's God's plan, like he says, hey, here's a woman, take care of her. She's part of your kingdom now. Well, I better be trained then and not start playing catch up later.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just left a Crucible weekend where you got to see a bunch of men step into something, replace negative messages that might not have ever been said with stuff that is actually true about them.
Yeah.
Put yourself in that car, in the car seat where you have Luke sitting and your grandma's driving the car. What does she say about you?
She says, man, you're just such a strong but tender man. And with this, I can get bigger, I can get stronger, and I will, like, if you're in my kingdom, like, friend-wise, and it's not because you're weak, I will mess somebody up really bad. I will kill them to protect my friends and my family. But at the same point in time, like, you're just such a tender and sweet man, and you're a good man, and I'm proud of you. That's what she would say.
That's great. Hell yeah. See you next week.
Yeah. Hey, Nathan, thanks.
No, thank you guys.
Yeah.
I love coming out here.
Yeah.
Why don't you just move out here?
Well, if I could bring my kids, I would.
What?
That's the one thing keeping me in Kentucky. It's a
good thing.
Like, if God ever creates, like, the day I find out, like, hey, you can move to Colorado with your kids, I'll just put my house on the market. Won't even think about it. Because why would I sit there like, well, God, I need another sign? Like, no, that'll be a big one. So I'll just do it.
There's your sign.
Figure it out when I get here.
All right. So you're catching a plane back to Louisville?
Yeah, a couple hours.
All right. And then you're going to come back out?
Oh, yeah.
Dolphins go up the cabin?
Yep.
Blow stuff up?
Yep.
That's what men do.
Done.
Wiener?
Wiener.
Cheers.
Wiener.
Wiener. John C., give us one.
Wiener.
Nice.
There we
All
go.
right.
That's a complete podcast.
That's it.
Done.
Bye.